Yeah, we will first quickly recap. Okay, and then we will proceed to the next chapter. So I just took my time and gave you some time to all. So all of you are ready with your like whatever class notes and discussions we had. Have you all gone through the lectures, or have you all got a link of the lectures?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, your mic is off.
Sorry. So the thing is that later in a Word file, you just in every page you just keep the lecture link of the YouTube pasted, and later what you can do is while you are listening to that in that particular page, just have the brief headings of those particular that particular lectures, and along with that you can have the scan books which I have scan pages of the books which I have sent already. So let me quickly browse through whatever more discussions we have done till date, and then we will get to the new chapter. So we started with a blank idea of disaster management, and we said that we will try to be concernedly learning the different types, the different steps, the responsibilities of people, and we will try later we will try to learn from different examples, the different kinds of case studies. I means like it was a disaster for somebody, but we will take it as a different case, as a unique case. We will learn from that. We'll record it. We will have interview with involved peoples, and then we will try to mitigate or be ready for or to reduce the risk, to be ready by reducing the risk of an upcoming disaster. Okay, so that's what a mitigation is. So we started with the basic definitions by different authorities. Okay, okay. For everyone, if at any point of time you cannot match with my speed and all, you just unmute yourself and let me know. Okay. So we started with the definitions of disasters. Then we plotted some haphazard or random effects of the disasters. Now, effect of disaster is different from the impact of the disaster. Okay, impact means like a cyclone of a particular strength has hit several coasts of say Orissa. So the effect of the cyclone are all well known that once a cyclone makes a landfall, it will uproot lot of trees and houses and roofs. It will cause like if people are concerned, they will displace themselves with their valuables, and after the cyclone there will be a shortage of food, electricity, some socio-economic losses, as well as you need some medical supplies. These are the effect. But the impact of this disaster depends on how much you were able to mitigate it, or how much prepared you were to fight the same cyclone. So maybe the people in the district of Beherampur and people in the district of Balasore, the northern and the southern and the northern districts of Odisha, two extreme districts, were not equally equipped to face the same effect of the disaster. So effect of the disaster is very general, very common, but the impact we will check today that what the impacts are. Impacts might differ in spite of the same effect depending on the location, the people, or the vulnerability of the people, as well as the resilience of the people in the local area. So effect is different from impact of the disaster. Okay, I will give one more very common example. Like all of us know the effect of coronavirus. All of us know, but the effect of the same coronavirus has different impact on the senior citizens, the young people, and the child. So is it clear what is the difference between an effect of disaster and impact of disaster?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then we discuss critical definitions or terminologies that might be required throughout. So first one was the hazard, and we classified the hazard in three different ways. So in the first way, we classified it and we found that there are three types, which are dormant, armed, and active. In another way, we discuss the hazard as man-made or natural. And in the third way, depending on the source and the impact, we decided that the hazard can be by physical means, chemical means, biological means, or radiological means. Then we discussed risk. It is the potential. Potential means not the actual, but chances of loss in terms of asset, health, livelihood, living environment. So here what we have done is we have discussed that risk and sorry, I guess, yeah, it took a lot of time to get uploaded. So I have now shared the PPT. I guess everyone can see it now in the Microsoft Teams itself. I'm not sharing my desktop. Okay. Yeah, it is easier for me now. So then we discussed about the vulnerability. So once on one side we have a risk. Risk is the chance or character, and vulnerability is also a character depending on that particular point. So vulnerability of an area can keep on changing. Vulnerability is the character of that particular community of people that resides in that particular place where a hazard might happen. Okay. So we did a quadrant analysis here, and we found that if the location is more vulnerable and the chances or potential loss that might happen because of any hazard is also higher, so this particular cloudy domain, we have to intervene fast in this particular area. Okay. Then we went for definitions of capacity. So if you are building the capacity among localized or the group of people or individuals, so it is the ability of individual or group of people to recover after facing the disaster. Okay. And the fifth one was resilience. Resilience is the ability of a community to cope with the disaster, shock, or stress without compromising long-term prospects for development. So resilience is a kind of planning process. It is a continuous planning process. Resilience is synonymous to resistant, but resistance had got more to the capacity building rather than resilience. So we have discussed the difference between the capacity and the resilience with examples. Here comes the impact of the disaster, that whenever certain certain disaster happens, the impact is the effect, the visible effect that we find out. So if we summarize everything, uh, okay, Vivek and all, is my slide moving slowly as I am shifting? Currently I am showing when and where it occurs or where the disaster occurs.
Yes, sir.
To everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So the next chapter was the types of disasters, where we found out that broadly there are three different types, but we focused mostly on the two because the third one is a combination of the previous two types, where we discussed the natural and the man-made disasters. We got some examples. We studied individual types, the reasons, the location, the tentative locations where there is higher chances of the occurrence of the disaster, the conventional preventive method. If it is a man-made disaster, it can be prevented at source or at the origin, so it can be easily avoided. And if it is a natural disaster, you need to be ready beforehand. You need to be prepared to face it by using technologies and other warning systems, as well as after it has happened, immediately what all actions we can take up to recover back to its original to our original condition were all generally discussed. So that was the second chapter. So here I would like to add in that particular thing that the severity of the impact. So impact are classified on the basis of the severity. High impact zone, low impact zone. We have seen one of the examples of an earthquake zone or the seismic map of India. So there is earthquake is fine. So in a high impact or high severity impact zone, even if there is a low level earthquake, still maybe there will be more damages rather than a high impact earthquake hitting a deserted area, say a desert. So severity of the impact depends on the predictability. So how early or how prepared you are after predicting that when it is going to hit or when the impact is going to happen. Second is the type of the disaster. So depending on the disaster, some disaster has high mortality or morbidity and some has less. So depending on that effect remaining the same, the impact of the and the severity of the impact may vary. The third is the density and population distribution of the area that also decides the severity of the impact of the disaster. The opportunity of warning. So if you have proper communication system and you got enough time to warn people, then you might face less severe impact of the same disaster. And the fifth one is the condition of the environment. So this is something like, say, when Amphan landed over in West Bengal, the coast of West Bengal, if there was not this coronavirus, then maybe the severity of the same earthquake might have been a little less than what has actually happened. Because of fear of coronavirus, we could not arrange for professional doctors and relief teams in every locations. There was lack of transportation. There was no rail connectivity. Only road connectivities were available. So depending on the condition of the environment, the severity can change. Something like a thunderstorm in a summer and a thunderstorm in a monsoon. So because of the thunderstorm, the impact that is going to happen during summer is much less than the impact or the severity of the impact in monsoon. So we got this, we discussed morbidity and mortality. This is a general slide. We didn't discuss that because we will have to discuss this India's vulnerability for different kinds of earthquake, for different kinds of disaster after we are done with our tools of disaster management. So these maps I have shown directly that the climatic. So the map on the left hand side shows Indian climatic disaster risk maps, where we have the cyclone prone area, the flood prone areas. So you see the flood prone areas are mostly riverine belts and the locations where you have a lot of dams. Okay, but not the coastal area. Then we have the drought prone area. Drought prone areas are those. See, Rajasthan is not a drought prone area because Rajasthan was never meant to be flooded. That means when there is no flood, there is a drought. It was never meant to be that. It is already a desert. But the places which are not a desert, where you have chances of habitation, but still there are lack of water table. Lack of monsoon is not always a result of drought, but lack of water table. For example, the pink area that you see in Gujarat, Maharashtra, Karnataka, and Andhra Pradesh are mostly the belts where we grow cotton and sugarcane, which takes up a lot of soil, a lot of water from the soil, as well as a lot of supply of water. So from the cultivation and irrigation, we have to constantly supply water to these plants. And in that way, we are not recharging the aquifers as much as it was supposed to be done. And then if they are totally dependent on the monsoon wind, so if the monsoon arrives late, then again it is a drought prone area. Next we have a hot desert which is located here, and then we have cold desert which is known as the frigid desert in the northern Himachal and the Ladakh Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. On the right hand side we have shown the seismic map. Now these seismic maps, see, zone 1 says least active. So right now currently it has further been modified. So we start directly from zone 2. So zone 1 and zone 2 are merged together to form a single zone. And 3, 4, 5. 3 is where we have planning interventions. 4 is where we have design interventions, and 5 is where we have uh, like we have to follow earthquake resistant structures or architectural constructions. So in 5 we are supposed to avoid those places or build according to the earthquake zone. In 4 we have to preferably look like 4 is vulnerable. So for multiple years the zone 4 might be behaving like a moderate zone, which is zone 3, but suddenly because of impact of the earthquake in a nearby location, the zone 4 becomes zone 5. That keeps on happening. So this is the old map. You can see the current maps also. Then we have just have a glimpse of the people, that who are the people or which are the organization who generally has to be involved, the government, the non-governmental and other like specialized forces who has to come up. So usually the military forces, the police, BSFs come up. We need volunteers from community, as well as we will need specialized trained people for disaster management. In, we said we have these facilities not in a national structure, but we have those in state structure or local ULB, urban local body structures. Okay. And they have to be headed by a manager or a leader. From there we came directly to the objectives and principles of disaster management. There we had a class where we had those sections A, B, C, D, E, where we had an overview of the particular things in a whiteboard. We started with the class. It is available in the YouTube link if you follow. So initially what we did was we discussed the basic objectives, that what are what are management and what is disaster management. So the objective separates the disaster management from common business managements. So we discussed 4 differences between, like there are 4 common thing. The general functions, planning, organization, implementation, evaluation are common. But beyond that, there are 4 differences on difference in focus, differences in uncertainty of a plan, difference in uncertainty of the resources, and unpredictable situations. On all these 4 things, we differentiated a business management from a disaster management. Then we defined the disaster managements. Are you all following it up? Not on the PPT maybe. Maybe those are in your handout. We had a discussion on this. In one of the classes, we noted this. I dictated and you noted.
Yes,
So,
sir.
okay. So please follow it up, follow it and find out whether something is missing or not. Then we discuss the salient attributes of disaster management, which are almost overlapping with the definition, like the definition divided into small sections, which were the salient attributes of disaster management. Okay. Then where we went for the general functions, the specific functions, and the agencies involved in disaster management. After that, only we went for the objectives of disaster management. So we discussed the 10 objectives of disaster management. Okay. Like creating necessary organizational structures. Okay, let me share it if I have it. Yes, we were discussing here only that we had the objectives of disaster management. We were reading from here. It is, I have seen the lecture that it is clearly discussed in the lecture also. So after that, we had 2 different set of principles of management. So the objectives can be achieved through certain principles only. So first we discuss those principles of disaster management here, which were according to FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency here. Okay, where we talked about certain terms. Okay, if you Is it? Can you recall those 8 terms? Is it there with you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, those who are not saying yes, sir, I am more concerned about those people.
Yes, sir, I have that.
Okay. Okay. So I gave you this particular handout because it discusses 2 or 3 examples of different disasters. You might be interested after reading those. Okay. So we first discussed the American standard of the American standard of the principles of disaster management, and then we discussed about very briefly about the African and the Australian principles of disaster management, and then we merged those together and came up with the basic like the summarized principle of disaster management, which was in here. The basic function of disaster management is public good and safety. Here he told you, if possible, in your proper reader, you just underline these particular pages. Underline the words, the terminologies, which will help you to remember this particular principles, because you know like people, those who had this class of conservation also, they might laugh that we also had objectives and principles of conservation again over there. We again, for everything, like you are not, you are free to decide, but the actions that you have to take for managing a disaster has to come according to a particular principle, so that not all the people involved in disaster management work differently. Sometimes it happens that to take a same decision, if you have different brains working, nothing fruitful turns up. So everybody has, there has to be a principle. So principally, if it is all fixed, all of the people are following the same principle, then definitely collaborative or collective action will bring a better fruit in terms of management of disaster. Okay. The next was, we discussed that there are 4 general features of disaster management. From there we went to the 4 specialized special features of disaster management, which are common for general, which are general disaster managements only, where we discussed about the 4 stages, which is planning, organization or organizing, implementation and evaluation. Okay. So this is common for everyone, but we cannot just ignore it. We cannot just ignore something which is common in business management also. So this covers up the principles of disaster management. Okay. So here I have tried to point out most of those principles: the comprehensiveness, the progressiveness, the risk-driven factor, integrated approach, collaborative and coordinated approaches, flexibility and professional measures. Okay. So after going through this principle, we came up with 5 detailed steps, or maybe we can say 4 steps of disaster management phases. So first was the prevention, second was mitigation. So we decided we and the third was preparedness. So in the last class when we were discussing this, we took examples and found that how prevention may be made different from mitigation. Okay, but as you all were confused, everybody is not confused, but everybody cannot segregate these 2 things together. They cannot say how to prevent a disaster and how to mitigate it. Okay, so mitigation is the steps taken to reduce the risk of the impact of the disaster, not the effect. Okay, so in Gopalpur on sea, a beach in the Behrampur district, During the 99 super cyclone, it was not ready. It had lot of buildings on the seashores, but Puri or Paradip or this अरे ये जगह Rajdeep, can you say that what is that small beach, a clay beach, which you access from Balasore towards the Bay of Bengal?
Sir, Chandipur.
Yeah, Chandipur beach. So Chandipur beach is deserted beach. There are not too many there were not too many habitations in 1999 back then. So what actually happened is Chandipur, by not having lot of activities in the coast, mitigated it well. They were not prepared to face the cyclone, but they already reduced the impact of the cyclone by not building over there. It is an indirect approach. But this Gopalpur and Puri, they had lot of establishment along the coast. So they took time in mitigating. And in 1999, there was not well communication methods, systems and all. So the impact was felt more on those particular things. But the cyclone was same. It was the same super cyclone which made it landfall across the coast of Odisha and Andhra Pradesh. So, but mitigation is, we discussed, and then depending on the scale, whether it is mitigatable or not, we are supposed to be prepared. So preparation also, we explain that how preparation is different from mitigation by citing two examples. And the last two steps was response and recovery. So during disaster and after disaster, we work with response and recovery. And before disaster, generally we talk about this mitigation and preparedness. Okay, so okay, just randomly I got this slide that these are some international organizations. I have taken this because many of the definitions and the paragraphs are taken from these particular organizations. They define lot of activities involved in preparedness and response and recovery. So see, in the central bottom one, Air Force Emergency Management, AFEM, they have their motto in the logo itself, which is prevent, prepare. So prevent and prepare, in between comes out, these two together is mitigation actually. Then respond and recovery. So right now, just in the previous discussion, we were discussing about all those 4 steps only, because these 4 actually forms the disaster management cycle. This will come in turn and turn, and in between you have to plug in to take necessary actions as a disaster management strategist. Okay, in different countries, in different cross countries, or certain organization works across multiple countries. So these are the organizations, and these are the few of the many Indian organizations. So National Disaster Management Authority of India, DRAMA, that is what we call them. Then we have the BSF Institute of Disaster Response. Okay, they have their own logo. We have the Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology in Pune. Okay, so similarly we have lot of people depending or who comes as volunteers. They may not be a specialized person, but they are people who may or may not be trained, but can help in supporting the actual team in case of a disaster management. So they may be professional, they may not be professional. Particularly they are non-professionals who supports the teams in case of managing a disaster. For example, say we are taking help of the villagers, the primary health center workers and all in fighting the corona in local rural areas and town areas. So they are coming as volunteers. There are a lot of other volunteers. For example, say in our NIT campus, we have a lot of people who are volunteering to procure food from the stores or groceries from the stores and deliver it at the gate of the person who are facing home quarantine, who are COVID positive patients. So they are also working as volunteers, but they are not trained as a professional. They have been told what exactly they have to do. They are just following that particular. Okay. So coming now, okay. So are we done with this particular module? This was there in the syllabus. Okay, let me check if
Sir,
I have. Yes, please.
Sir, do we need to like write down the names of the international organization that we have shown in the last
No, no,
slide?
no, no, no. See, what I was doing is, there are actually 5 modules in your syllabus. Okay. The fifth
Yes,
one
sir.
is a miscellaneous one, which gets merged into all the individual modules. So what I felt was, after 1 month, when I completed the first module, which I divided into 3 chapters. The first module had 3 chapters. So I just to complete the presentation, so that this is the first time I'm taking the class. After taking the class, there are a lot of gaps which I have identified while I was listening to my own lecture. So then I feel that, okay, why not inform at this particular point that who are all are the authorities who helps in the disaster management in India and abroad, because this is something like the first slide of those 3 were like my reference sheet. I have taken a lot of definitions and the terminologies, the overviews, the first chapter from those particular organizations. So instead of putting it in the reference sheet separately, I just took their logo, put it up in my presentations.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So today we will start, just we will take an overview of one of the very important chapters, which is disaster management cycle. Okay. So disaster management cycle encompasses broadly 4 steps. It may be 5 also. So this is a cycle that you can see. We have a cycle where the last 5 terms that we just now discussed: preparedness, mitigation, then what? What were the terminologies? What were the 5 terminologies that we discussed?
Prevention, mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery.
Okay. So as I said that, let's merge prevention and mitigation together. So prevention and mitigation are direct and indirect action for the same thing. Certain only man-made disasters can be prevented. For the rest, we have these mitigation technologies. So earthquake, we cannot reduce the impact. So what? Let's do something that let the effect be the same, but we reduce the impact of the earthquake by reducing the risk, by sparsely allowing the settlement, by changing the construction pattern of the particular vulnerable areas and all. So those are all mitigation. So what happens is, see the left hand side, the mitigation and preparedness, these are collectively written as risk reduction phase before a disaster. So before a disaster, it happens like, okay, something which I want to clarify, note it particularly that this particular cycle can be made much more simpler by just showing up 4 stages. Okay, in your handout that I shared in objective and principles of disaster management. Okay, there was this in the like the four different steps of disaster management were preparedness, like mitigation, preparedness, relief, and reconstruction, or relief or response and reconstruction. So it this particular cycle, the activities are all fixed. Somewhere you will see these 4 5 terminologies, somewhere you will see 3 terminologies, somewhere you will see that individual terminologies are broken into sharp terminologies depending on exactly which activity you have to do. And then accordingly, you have different terminologies used or different number of terminologies used to explain the same cycle. But basically it is 3 things only. First is reduce the chances of impact of the disaster, then allow the disaster to strike, and then do the necessary things after the disaster strikes. So recovery phase after the disaster, so that you are ready to again face the same disaster after a while, which will have lesser impact. Did you get me? Or should I repeat again?
Yes.
Okay, let me unshare this because you cannot see my mouse moving. What I will do is I will share my desktop here. Now, can you see my mouse? Pragya, is my mouse slowly moving and is it visible?
Yes, yes, sir.
Now, there are two chunks in red and connected by three arrows. So that is the simplest format. So the arrow, the red area on the left hand side is the risk reduction phase before the disaster, then the disaster impacts, and then the recovery phase after the disaster is on the right. So we learn from the recovery phase, we have all the information that we learn are properly documented, the experiences are noted, the individual people whatever they did to come out of the impact by reconstructing and rehabilitating it were done, and then again they become, so once these are done, once things are reconstructed and rehabilitated, they're again ready to face a disaster when it again strikes. So this is a kind of circle, a cycle. That is the simplest format. Now in the individual cycles, we have the left hand side, we have two stages, which is mitigation and preparedness. Like prevention is actually mitigation in case of man-made disasters, and then we are prepared to face it very close to the impact or the time of impact of the disaster, and after the disaster how quickly the response team are arriving, and then what are the remedial strategies that they are adopting. So these are the two phases. Okay, so here you will see those terminologies which we were using earlier. We talked about the 4 R's. Okay, so if I go to the previous slide, see, mitigation is sometimes known as, you can note this, mitigation is sometimes known as reduction or reduction of the risk or impact. Okay, so it comes as, this mitigation comes as reduction. The preparedness is known as readiness, READINESS, readiness. And then we have response. And these two together is known as is it legible? Whatever I have written on the screen.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So in some books, like, don't be confused. First of all, please don't be confused about the terminologies. They are overall the same thing. Okay, somebody describes it into smaller fragments, somebody in broader fragments. So basically they are the same. So phases of management is, the first one is risk reduction phase before a disaster, which includes disaster mitigation and disaster preparedness, and the recovery phase after the disaster, which includes response, rehabilitation, and reconstruction. So on the right hand side, I have shown the effect. So from recovery to mitigation is the reconstruction. So that is actually a phase. So there are a lot of overlaps. See, recovery is something where we generally restore. Okay, so let's see that on the right hand side, you can see, sorry, the event means the happening, the effect, the disaster has struck. So immediately after it strikes, an emergency response team has to work. So the first few hours after the impact is very much serious. So we call it the emergency phase. बोलते ना, when there is a Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombardment happened, immediately a emergency was declared nationwide. So that is the effect, like immediately after the impact. So after those are done, we will see that in that particular emergency phases what are done later. But I am reading the outer circle. After that emergency phase is over, we try to restore people back. Now during emergency, how we respond? We try to find out the people, the diseased people, that means those who are not alive. Then we see the people, those who need extensive specialized treatment. Like otherwise they will die. That is a different category. Then we have a people, then we have two other subcategories where major damages or minor damages has happened, and there may be another group of people who doesn't require, who may not even require a first aid after the effect, after the event. Okay, so these categorizations are done. They have a different name, which I will tell you right after a while. But before that, what we do is, after this emergency phase is over, we try to restore the situations back to its normal condition, or people and environment, or the area to back to its original location. So restoration, can anybody tell me what do you mean by restoration?
Building up the broken houses and structures.
So how is it different from reconstruction?
Like if
It-
some important site, like in a temple or in a heritage site, got destructed, then we have to restore that.
No, see, I have given two terminologies. One is a restoration and another is a reconstruction. So
Sir,
what is meant
restoration
by
is like
restoration?
putting back, if there is any broken piece or something, just like putting back in its original position. But
Okay.
reconstruction is like making the whole thing up
Yes. So
again.
first, suppose there is a flood. So after the flood, the emergency of the flood situation is over. So right now in Kerala, what is happening is the monsoon has shifted from Kerala now. The flood situations are almost the emergency situation after the flooding is almost over. If you can reconfirm, I guess it is almost over. The dams are regaining its capacity back.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So right now what people are doing is, whichever permanent structure suffered minor modifications, minor damages, they are trying to restore. Storing means putting back to the original, back into the same godown itself. So a building which is a godown for different building material which fell apart, we are trying to means again and store. That means we are putting it back again. So where minimum interventions are required, we try to restore those fast, so that in a very short time more people can be put back into original condition. Then we see that how much of actual damages has happened. That means the houses which were flown away, the structures, the places, the paddy fields, the other fields, like cultivation fields, those were all submerged. So soil has been taken away, landslide has happened. So reconstructions means you had almost nothing in the location. So what we learn is that if we are building along the path where landslide happens, it might cause problem. So we identify better, safer places, and we try to construct again. That means reconstruction. Again, we construct it on a safer situation. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So immediately after emergency, we will not go for reconstruction. We will not start building tents after tents, new structures, new houses and all. First, we will try to restore the structures which are partially damaged or which can take up small intervention and stand strong. So that is restoration. So response से recovery के बीच में comes this restoration, and after it has recovered, after basic people has been recovered, मान लो कि एक गांव में there are broadly 10 families divided into say 30 or 40 houses. So first make sure that at least 10 of those houses are restored back. All those 10 families, joint families, who might be broken into, say, each family can be broken into 2, 3, 4 different houses, are first rehoused in the restored structure. And then you construct or pay them the money to construct the necessary things that they will need. Now, reconstruction depends on priority. First you will build a house, or first you will build a granary, first you will start cultivating, because the monsoon might be over. By the time you build your house and go for cultivation, the monsoon might be completely over and you will face the drought or the dry seasons. So building or cultivating is much more important than making houses right now in Kerala. Maybe, I'm not sure. So so depending on the situation, reconstruction has to be done by the people, locality people. Reconstruction may you don't need organizational or governmental or community level intervention. It can be individual intervention, but restoration may you need specialized interventions. So after this phase, as if kya hota hai, like many of the structures have many of the places of or cities and towns and villages of Kerala, or the coastal states, coastal cities and villages of Kerala are strengthened enough. Now, who will be full enough to reconstruct a house again in the same disaster attractive construction as they were? For example, say I am again building a house which is still prone to flood, still prone to landslide, again by reconstruction. Definitely, I will do some intervention so that next time there is a flood of at least uh, equivalent vulnerability, this house will not be flooded, or this house will not be flown away, right? So what we have done is, during the reconstruction, we have improved our capacity building. We have built our capacity to fight the impact of similar scale of disaster again. So that is a mitigation. Okay. So once it is mitigated, mitigation can happen in one day, it can happen over 100 of years, depending on the scale in which you can build the capacity. And then once you have a proper communication system, a warning system, a proper signaling system, then before the impact happens, before the event happens, in the pre-impact phase, you are supposed to keep yourself prepared. Okay, so keep this particular cycle in your mind. The cycle at the bottom right corner, keep it in your mind always. Like this is going to happen in any case. So wherever there is an example that you are studying, the example is not going to happen, which is the event. In most of the places, what you see is the description of the event has been given. Or here event means the disaster, the striking of the disaster. So most of the places that is what is given. But actually that is a small part that takes the shortest time. Everything else in a disaster management cycle takes much more time. So try to find those, read those out, or keep a track of those particular things. So here we were discussing the impact and the response only. So it says that greatest need for emergency care is in the first few hours after the impact. The management of mass casualties are divided into, like, say in big scale disasters, immediately a search and rescue team is first put into place, assisted by a first aid and field care people. Okay, इसमें थोड़ा सा mistake हो गया है. Uh, the 6 steps have been merged in. So first the first aid team arrives along with the search and rescue. So if the first aid is provided, then they would be able to be shifted to a safer location. So on field, whoever takes care of those particular people has to be also informed. So in case of fire hazard, the firefighters. In case of earthquake, the people, those who are involved in this like handling heavy machineries and equipments to take away debris and remove it away. So those are the different field care people that will come up in here. Then something which is known as a triage. Do you know what is meant by a triage? TRIAGE, triage.
Yes, sir.
What does it means?
Like we category it to three, like severe, like, and then critical and non-critical.
Okay. So what are you actually doing? Like, matlab, you are telling me what you do, exactly what you do on the side that you are saying. But
Yes,
broadly, if you say in a common sentence, what are you actually doing?
Classifying.
classifying the
Exa-
people in different groups as they
Uh,
have impacted.
okay, classify is a strong term. I would say we are sorting people. We are
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
sorting people on the basis of the need of, it can be need of what? It can be, say, need of the basis of medical benefits or treatments or food or medicines, anything. So okay, it is a sorting kind of thing. So triage is a sorting. Okay, and then after sorting we do tagging. Okay, so let me. Okay, actually the time that I allotted is almost over. So what I will do is I will share my desktop only. This was the page actually. Okay, so in the just after the act, the first response team together comes together to find the search and rescue. They have their own knowledge, training, and all. Then the first aid team, the field care team, the triage team, and then the tagging. The person who are tagged as I will just show you very quickly that how tagging is done. This is a tagging. And this is tagging. So these are attached with human body, human beings. The color codes directly shows that which first aid team has to come and work, and whether hospital से कोई आएगा या ambulance लेके कोई आएगा या somebody who is diseased has to be immediately taken away, and take care has to be taken that the people with this black color triage tag are not placed beside water bodies where there is an immediate chance of contaminations and epidemics. Okay. So this is basically a disaster management cycle. Now our aim will be in the next module to take up individual stage, analyze it, understand the impact of that particular stage, and then proceed to the next one. Okay. So we will meet on Tuesday. And in the meantime, if possible, I might share the handout of this book. Okay. Is it okay?